Okay, so I think you all got notified that it's being recorded. Great. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. This is, we've been really looking forward to it. Sorry we had to delay it. I was out sick last week, most of last week. And so I am recovering from that and do have a little bit of a gravelly voice, and a little bit of cough. So I'll do my best not to cough on you here, at least be able to push mute before I do that. I'm Niket Pelcher. I'm the Digital and Creative Services Director, and Dave and John and I are just a few of the people who have been working on this new DES.wa.gov website for the past year or so. Just a reminder to please mute your microphones so we don't hear you. I'm going to go ahead and let both Dave and John introduce themselves right now. Dave, would you like to go ahead and start?
Sure. I've had a chance to meet some of you via email and a few other folks in some meetings that we've had prior to this one about the website. And for those of you who haven't met me, I'm Dave Ake. I am the new content strategist on the in the communications division. I have been here just over 2 months and jumped in with both of my feet right into the fire, and came over to help land this website redesign project from the Office of the Insurance Commissioner. And just a little background on me. I worked at the Office of the Insurance Commissioner for about 5 years in a web content specialist role, so just a notch down from the one that I'm at here as the content strategist. Prior to that, have roughly another 6 years of experience with web content and working with web content contributors. So a little bit over a decade of experience doing web stuff. Very, very, very happy to be here and have my hands on this enormous website redesign project. And one of my favorite things about web work is getting to work with writers and web content contributors. And so I am super excited to get to work with most of the people that are in this meeting at some point and forge a personal, professional relationship with you all to really help get a lot out of this massive investment in the website. So thank you.
Yeah, Dave came in at the tail end of this work, and he has been a rock star. On the flip side, John Pretty has been with us for a decade. he's been here for the long haul. So, John, go ahead and introduce yourself for those who don't already know you.
For those of you who don't already know me, my name is John Pretty. I'm the Digital Communications Manager here at the Department of Enterprise Services. As Niket hinted, I've been here since the very beginning of the agency, so I've been trying to manage the little beastie of our website for over the last decade. We have a lot of different programs, a lot of different pages, and I'm very excited to finally get a chance to redesign this thing so that it is much easier for users, because we're basing a lot of this research, which you'll hear more about shortly, on user-centered design principles.
Okay, thank you, John. So I want to start by just, first of all, we've got a lot of people on this call who have been part of this process, especially over the past year. This does go back even further than this last year, but we want to start by saying thank you to everybody who have been a part of this project. We think that that's one of the most important things we want to give out in this Lunch and Learn today. We've had dozens of people who have helped with this process. Some just in little chunks, and then some over months, especially our CMP group, and we'll explain why they've been so involved in a minute. So thank you to all those folks, and also thank you to the people who have been doing some of the testing over the last week, because it has really helped us prepare for launch on Tuesday. So with that, let's go ahead and get into our Learn section of our Lunch and Learn. And I'm going to start by sharing with you the common questions that we have received from y'all when you filled out the form. The most common questions we're getting are: what research went into establishing our user needs? What are the enhancements that you can expect? How does this impact your program's pages? Where are you going to find the pages on the new site that you currently use the most? And also, what are you going to be telling, what do you need to be telling your customers about the new site? And so we'll go over these. We're going to answer these common things that came through in the form as you were filling it out over the next hour. We do expect this to take the full hour, and we hope to have time for questions at the end. And so I've got a lot to cover, so I'm going to talk a little quickly. If you have any questions, you can please do feel free to put them into the chat. I can't see the chat, but John and Dave will both be monitoring it, and they will answer things as they can, as they come up, or they will hold them for us to talk about as a group. So first of all, how did this all get started? We really felt like it was important because this is a common question we've been getting, especially over the last couple of months, of how we got here. And so we want to talk about user-centered design more specifically, because it kind of feels like a fluffy thing, but we want to talk about how data-driven user-centered design is. So first of all, how it got started was we had customer listening sessions in 2019. This is actually before I was here. I joined in late 2019. And through the customer listening sessions, we heard customers say it's really difficult to find what they need. They don't know everything that DES does. They don't know how all of our services connect, and that there's a lack of consistency across the website. So those are some common themes that we heard at that time in 2019. We heard this both from our customers who are external, who are talking to us, and also from you, the DES employees, who hear from your customers and you yourself, the challenges that you were finding through your customers. In phase one, so taking all the information from the 2019 listening sessions, we got a phase one funded. And phase one is involved hiring Anthrotech for the user-centered design. Anthrotech is here in Olympia, Washington, and they're a consultancy focused on user-centered design. They mostly work with government and nonprofits. They've done a lot of government websites. One of the more recent big ones is WashDOT's website. But a lot of other ones, small and large, and also partnering with WADTech for the development side. So building the Drupal platform for us and actually building the guts of the website for us on the back end. So we needed to upgrade our content management platform from Drupal 7 to Drupal 9. We also needed to create new navigation and design, and this is where the user-centered side comes in. We'll talk about a little bit more. We needed to also improve our contracts and purchasing content, which was one of the most used pages on our website are related to contracts and purchasing. There's some others as well, but a lot of our pages are CMP pages that people are coming to. And it was proving to be one of the more difficult areas for our customers to navigate. So all of their content got a nice fresh look, and we did a lot of work with that over the last year. And the rest of the content is what we call a lift and shift. So we're lifting it from what it currently is on our site, and we're placing it onto the new site. And then phase two will be continuous improvement of that content, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The other thing that we needed to do was make it mobile friendly and accessible, because our current site isn't ideal in either of those areas. So that was another thing that was our focus for phase one. So the goal overall is a website where DES customers can find, understand, and use our services. So one of the questions we had to tackle was, who are our users? And because this was a new navigation and design overhaul of the site, we went broad. So it's a general broad overview of our different customers. And those are government employees. So employees of government entities, if that's not obvious. Businesses, so businesses who want to work with the state or with DES. Members of the public. And those are all sorts of different tasks like Capitol Campus, visiting Capitol Campus, buying surplus items, applying for jobs. And then we had one specific profile for our contract users, because we were going to be doing so much work on the contracts and procurement content side. So those were our 4 general users. And these are the folks that we constantly turn to and how we profiled in order to do our user-centered design. And this is where I say in phase 2, we'll get more specific. We'll work with programs and program content, and we'll figure out who are your specific customers, so we can provide create customer profiles for you at that time that we're working on your content. But for now, these were our 4 overarching global users. So I'm going to play a quick clip here. I think it's about 5 minutes. Dave, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce this one.
Yeah, so one of the other big components of this website redesign project, and it's really the biggest piece that happened right before we turned over the website to be tested with folks inside the agency. This big part is all real live clips from our usability testing. And what I mean by that is because I did see some concerns come through some of the website feedback as people have been testing the websites. Some folks have asked the question, you know, who are the users that you tested this with? And so what this clip really introduces is, I think 7 of the 9 people that ran through our usability test. And what I want to emphasize before you watch these clips is these are people who are currently using your website, with the exception of the last person on in this clip who has never used our website before. So as we did all this work, you know, redesigning the navigation, redesigning the visual look of the website, and doing a lot of work with creating very specific content types for specific audiences, these are the users that ran through the usability testing and are a huge component of the research that we did for this giant website redesign project. And I wanted to share this with you all as soon as we got those clips back from the consultancy from Anthrotech, because I think it really helps you understand that we aren't just making these decisions based off of our gut. We take all of that data that got us to this point. We do our best job in laying out the navigation and titling things, and you know, titling the little headers on the navigation with all the research that we have. And then the coolest part of this is that we get to put it in front of real users. And so I think that that's really important to understand, because these are people who use your website from who use it either daily to, you know, monthly, to a user at the very end that has never ever used our website. So it really is the entire gamut of users and how familiar they are with the Department of Enterprise Services and our website. And so just want to show you some clips of them who ran through the usability testing, explaining how they use the website and what they currently do, to hopefully, you know, give you all a little bit more confidence in the fact that after we did everything that we thought was the best version of it, we got to put that in front of real users and get real feedback from them. And I think that's one of the coolest parts of user-centered design, mostly because of where I started in website work, which was working for really small startup type companies, where we would spend a ton of time doing content and building websites, and then we never tested it because in small for-profit enterprises, you typically don't have the resources to do that. And so this is a really cool way, again, to take what we think is the best version of it and put it in front of people. And these are our users.
Okay. Well, let me hit play here. I hope it works. Give me a thumbs up if you hear it, Dave, when it starts playing.
So to start with, I'll just ask you some questions about your experience with DES. About how frequently do you...
Oh, sorry, did that stop it? No, I can't mute myself when I do that. Sorry about that. That messed it up.
visit the DES website?
Well, right now, several times a day.
Wow, okay. And what do you typically tend to do on the website?
Mostly right now I'm looking at vehicle purchases, but I do help out down in our fleet maintenance with other, other items that we're looking for, parts washers, different items like that. So, but I would say I'm typically on it daily, weekly.
So to start with, I'll just ask you some questions about how you interact with DES. About how frequently do you visit the website?
Probably a couple times a week, sometimes once a week, depends on what's needed. Because a lot of things are already set up and we know who to go to.
Okay.
I'll
And
go
what
on
are-
and see. I'll go on and see who's said contract, and then I'll see who from DES is in charge of that contract, because that contractor's not doing their job or something. So then I'll find out. So, okay.
Mm. Is that your primary reason for visiting the site, kind of seeing who your contact might be so you can get in touch with them?
That's most important to me. But the other thing is too, is if we have, we're trying to find somebody that makes this widget that we need, or can go ahead and come out and do our generators or something like that. We'll get on there, but that's not a weekly thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I work with the Office of Risk Management within DES, and I access the database on a more than daily basis, several times a day.
So to start with, I just have some questions about how you interact with DES. About how frequently do you go to the DES website?
Daily.
Mhm. And
Daily.
what do you tend to be looking for or doing there?
I go to see if they have any new opportunities for my business, because I'm a minority woman-owned business, and I just started out in May, and they've been phenomenal actually in my help, and especially right like now, because I'm in the middle of a bid right now, and I mean, they gave me phenomenal help. I just couldn't believe that the help that I got from them. And I think what they did, they referred me to PTAC, which is another organization. And so they referred me to them. They've been helping me with my bids and just any little thing that I have to do.
So to start with, I just want to ask you some questions about how you interact with DES. About how frequently do you use the website?
Not frequently in recent times, more frequently in the past.
Okay. And what do you tend to be doing or looking for?
Well, in the past, I was looking for whether there were opportunities for me to serve as a vendor in a rather narrow niche of services. And then the rest of the time, I'm looking at surplus item auctions.
Okay.
But we access when we want information, when we're looking to confirm things, when we are exploring bid opportunities. We use it as a gateway to get onto webs, which I think is part of the enterprise services. Things like that, things that you might typically think a technology company that is partnering and vending to the state would go on that website for. I'm not the only user of this website, but I'm the practice leader for my company. So the other people that do so in service too.
About how frequently do you visit the website?
Probably never. I don't think I have.
Okay. And what are some other ways that you might interact with DES?
I think their building is like right on the Capitol exit. So I drive by the building and I remember when they built that new building. And this might be your next question, but what do they do? I think they're like the computer technology entity for the state. So that's about all I know.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of that's what that's only 5 of the people that we did user sessions with. These were 1-hour sessions. This is an introduction to some of the people who we talked to, and you're going to see some more clips from them in a moment. So user-centered design, there was 3 phases that we went through over the past year. The very first thing that we did was card sorts, and we did a global card sort to like all sorts of things that Department of Enterprise Services does, where we said sort these topics into categories. And this is a very typical activity, user-centered design activity to start your information architecture, to kind of get some guesstimates as to where to start with a new IA. So we had 200 participants in that, 100 focused on global topics, and then 100 of our testers focused on contracts and procurement topics. And 100 is the maximum that you want to do in a card sort. And Anthrotech managed that process. We also did a tree test. And the tree test came about a couple months later. And it's basically testing some assumptions that you made based on the card sorts. And we had closer to about 1,500 people participate in the tree testing. And we did 2 different versions of that. We did an A version and a B version. And then finally, oh, and by the way, all these people are current customers. These are not general people. We actually sent emails out to our current customers and people opted in. And then finally, we did these usability sessions, and these just happened in October. And they were people who met the criteria for a user profile. So they were a government employee, a member of the public, or a business. And some of those crossed over to they're also contract users. They were small minority women-owned businesses. So we had some crossover on some of the criteria that we wanted for those folks. And those are 1-hour sessions, and you get a lot of really great detail when you meet with them one-on-one. Anthrotech led all of this because they are the user-centered design consultancy firm that we hired for this work. So this is an example of what a card sort can look like what the actual data on the back end looks like for us. So we give them a bunch of cards, like note cards. Some of you probably participated in this because we did invite staff to do it through DES news articles. We said, hey, if you want to give this a try, please feel free to do this. So some of you might have already done it. I know what I'm talking about here. And then this actually just shows you what was the similarity? How did cards get sorted? What are some similarities that we found? Thankfully, Anthrotech does all this analysis for us because it's incredibly time consuming. And this next video talks about what kind of things they find challenging with the website. And so I'm just going to go ahead and hit play. This one's a little bit shorter.
Sometimes it's hard to find things by the way it's listed. If you don't know and you're going, like I was asked, hey, could you go in and see if they have these on the state contract? Sure. Well, it was hard to find it, and it wasn't where I thought it would be. So I think the search function, if they could do something with that, would be very helpful to a lot of people.
What would you say has been especially challenging about the website in the past?
All of that stuff. It's a horrible website. It's hard to find anything.
Got it. All right. So just blanket everything.
Yes.
All right.
And they, I am a new business that has worked for the city of Seattle doing encampment cleanups, and so hazardous waste removal, and we remove it, clean it up for them, and go dump it too. And anything else, just to clean up, to try to keep the city clean. So we've done this work. So I believe they had a one that came up, and it never had any information. I kept looking to see if I could find some information, and it just didn't have anything, but it did have the person's name. So I emailed them, and I didn't get a response. And then I was like, okay. So then I did go back to look for it. It was already closed, but then the information that I had never got. So I think that they should maybe have a better thing about that. And then I did reach back out to the person, and he wasn't open to talking to me about the bid, because he said, I remember it said, Ms. Wilson, your your bid, the bid was out and you missed it. I said, yeah, but he said, because I wasn't at webs yet, but I was, but I didn't know there was another step.
All right. And do you remember anything being especially challenging on the website?
I have sometimes struggled to find the way that what I do is described so that I can find people who, agencies that might want what I do, how it might be better described. I don't know the agency lingo word for, we need a rent-a-judge.
Got it.
I'm an independent hearing officer. And so different people use different terms, but I haven't identified a good search term.
So I think what's really helpful about a couple of those is, one, you have a gal who's talking about how she was trying to self-serve and she thought she had all the information, but she didn't have all the information. She ended up missing a bid opportunity. And then the second gentleman saying people have different search terms and different ways of looking for things, and he's right. And so when you're working with card sorting and trying to understand how people think about this content, how they would organize it, you're looking for common denominators, but you're also looking to see what are some things that are standing out that are just different or odd that we might need to address. So a lot of that came to the surface from our card sorting. It also came through with our tree testing. So tree testing is where you're testing a draft IA, and you give them an actual task to accomplish. And you say, here's an example. You work at a building in Spokane, leased from DES. Where would you go to get help from DES to clean the building? And you actually are able to look at their path, which I'm going to show you here in the next one. Look and see how they navigated through to complete that task and whether or not it was a success or a failure. Green means they were going down what we would consider the successful path to get to the answer. And I'll go back to this slide, and you can see that we were testing two different versions. We were saying which one were they more successful with, version A of our navigation structure or version B. And so that A/B testing helped us determine kind of what people's mental mapping was and how they were thinking through and what they were doing with the labels that we had prescribed to things and how they were interpreting them. So tree testing is pretty intense for that reason, and you have to make a lot of decisions based on that, which is why you continue to do more testing even after tree testing. That's where the usability sessions become handy. Our tree testing had 1,500 participants. We had really great participation in our tree testing on our A/B testing there. So that is the user, gives you an understanding of the user-centered testing that we did in order to really for the checks and balances for all of the work that we were doing on the information architecture. And then the content improvement piece really is where this actually comes before designing the site. Designing is actually the last thing you do because your content really dictates design. And I don't know that I think that people tend to think that's the other way around, that you need to create the look and feel and the wrappers and then fit the content into it. But actually, we approach it a different way. You want to look at your content and understand the needs of your content, and you wanted to design the site for the content. So we did do an overhaul of the contracts and purchasing. We worked very closely with CMP, with dozens of them, and I hope they're all applauding themselves right now because the amount of work and effort that they put into this phase one was absolutely phenomenal, and they did it with smiles on their faces, which says a lot. And then we had to just do a lift and shift of all of our other content because that's going to be focused on in phase two. We did what's called core modeling, and core modeling is where you identify your business goals and your customer goals and how they intersect. And then we did what's called content modeling to identify different types of pages that we might want. And I'm going to be showing you some examples of different page types that we have. This is an example of a core model worksheet. So what are the business goals? What are the user tasks? how are they getting to this page? What should be on this page, or what is on this page? And then where do they go from this page? So what's their task after they come to this page and get the information that they need? So that's what, and then this is what an actual core model looks like. This was for our policy page, and this is one of our subject matter experts did this. So these are her notes on what she thinks the user tasks are and what our goals are, and what the customer goals are. And actually these are backwards. So user tasks is usually on the right, but so user tasks, and then our goals, and then the inward paths. And so we did a lot of these. We have a lot of these worksheets that we did in a dynamic whiteboard setting. And then lastly, we have an accessibility piece of this. And accessibility, I need to define here, means that it's easily reached, entered, or used by people who have a disability. And it's mandated by state and federal law, including OCIO policy, federal law as well. But our minimum compliance, according to OCIO's policy, is level AA, 2A of Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Don't expect you to know what that means. That's our job. But it is a pretty technical thing that you do checks and balances on. And Anthrotech did the accessibility review. It's of the new website and the infrastructure of the site to make sure people can navigate through the site. That is what their focus is on. We also, of course, want our content, our web page content, to be accessible. But we still have work to do here. We still don't completely comply with accessibility requirements, especially our files. We knew that we wouldn't be in 100% compliance at the end of phase 1. That's something that takes years and years, and we expect it to take that kind of time. So that will be something that we address after this launch. There's a lot more work to do here. But we do our best as the web services team to make sure that when you give us content that goes on a web page, that content on that web page is accessible, that people can navigate it and understand that content on that web page without any challenges. Okay, we're getting really close to actually being able to get under the hood here. So phase 2 is also known as everything else. It's going to be user-centered design for the rest of our content that was lifted and moved over. There's going to be a lot of collaboration with your program subject matter experts in the same way that we collaborated with CMP. We're going to be creating additional user profiles more specific to programs. So you might be in fleet, and so one of your profiles might be a fleet manager. Another one might be a state employee who leases a vehicle from time to time to drive across state. So we will be working with you more specifically on those. And then we do intend on doing card sorting, tree testing, and usability sessions for all of the content that we do, so that it's the users who are telling us how this needs to be organized and written in a way that makes sense to them. As somebody who doesn't have the inside knowledge that we have. And that's one of the important things to keep in mind about user-centered design, is that you are not the user, you are using the website, but you know too much as an employee. You have way too much insider knowledge to really be able to experience it from a customer's perspective. So that's why we involve the customer as much as possible in the process. The other thing that we want to be doing in phase 2 is incorporating an equity and inclusion lens. So making sure that we're working with our Office of Equity here within DES and at the state level to get some training on that, and for our subject matter experts on what does that look like for the website and on the content that we create. That will involve like writing for the web training as well. And then we have independent websites that we'd like to get created for our EAP services and our Visit Capital Campus content. Those are subject to funding, so we have to get those approved and funded before we know what the timeline is going to look like on those. Okay, So I want to be able to show you what the website actually looks like now and show you some of the cool enhancements. But before I do that, are there any questions I should be addressing right now, Dave or John? That nope. Okay. So either Dave or John are going to pop the link in so that you can actually look around yourself if you'd like under the hood here. And then I'm going to share my screen again, so I get back to the spot. Here we are. Can everybody see my screen? Awesome. Okay, so let me head over to the home page. Actually, here it is right here. So this is our new homepage. You've probably seen some of this already. Either you've been testing the site with us or you've seen some screenshots on DES News. But this is our homepage right now. I'll say that we are still working on this. So Dave and John in particular have been heads down getting a lot of feedback from our testers over this last week and are still making improvements. And we still have some sections of content that need to be cleaned up or fixed. So that work is still happening. But you have a sense right now of what our main navigation is looking like, where we've got a purchase bucket, a sell to the state bucket, services, policies and legal, and an about section. And these are our main areas. We also have what's called utility nav, where you've got a quick link to both EAP and Capital Campus. That is a nod to our intentions in the future to have independent websites for both of these. And we just decided to go ahead and put them up here in the utility navigation for this particular launch. Strengthen the business of government in Washington State is the slogan that we decided to put on our homepage. We've got a let us help you section. This is not going to be static. This can change. These are the ones that we've just settled on right now to launch with. We'll use things like analytics to help us determine what's best for this section right here. But it isn't meant to be, it's not like in concrete. These will change. Right now, they're based on top 10 things people come to us to do. So EAP, 2 or 3 EAP pages are always in our top 10 most visited sites on our website. Surplus is one of them, contract stuff, and training. So these all have top billing right now because our analytics tell us that these are one of the top reasons people come to our site. We also have a new feature called Success Stories, where we are using what's called content marketing in order to tell our story. And I will show you one of these in a moment, but this is something that we're promoting on our homepage as well. Just keep in mind, a lot of people don't get this far. They don't scroll this far. They're usually getting where they need by the search bar or the top nav. But some people do scroll down this far, and this helps us tell our story about who we are as an agency. And that was one of our goals of our homepage, is give people a sense of what kind of things we do. And then what's new is recent news. We haven't quite updated all of this, so it's fresh for launch, but you've got some news articles here with buttons to link to more, and then you've got initiatives. So this is a new section as well as our initiative section. So our news center, we've got an about page here, but our news center is something that's brand new, where we are trying to corral our content into a central location. So we've got like a top story up here. We've got last 3 news releases, success stories, events and meetings is a new section. We're still building this out. This one's actually pretty labor intensive, manual labor intensive, but you can see that it's the ability for us to search by keyword, apply some filters in order for you to get events and meetings to pull up. And so this is a really neat new feature that once it's completely built, the content's completely built out, it will be a really valuable resource for our folks. And this is an example of a new content type that we have. Because when you click on a meeting here, this one, it might not be completely built out because I know that we're still working on a lot of this week, but you have components and you have a certain look and feel to your meeting page with specific components. Let's see here. And then back to the news center page, we've got Capitol Campus emergency alerts. We've got our social media. We've got links to our blog, and we have a quick subscribe to some of our more popular general topics. So this is an example of something that's new that I would consider an enhancement, along with a lot of our landing pages. So for example, if you click on the top 5 up here, you're gonna go to what's called a landing page. I am in dev, not test, so you're seeing some of my back-end development stuff. But we wanted to put some quick tasks up here that people come to and want to get to quickly. So you've got, for instance, the surplus items, the statewide contracts. You've got fleet cards, purchase cards, signing up for Amazon Business. So in this section is going to be, generally speaking, will mirror what's in the drop downs up here. A little opportunity to give them a little bit more information about it, pulling out a success story that can be highlighted that has something to do with purchasing. In this particular one, it's a surplus story. And then some featured news. I'm going to take this opportunity to click on a success story so that you can see what this page looks like. Let me log out of here for a second. Kind of cleans it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to go find that again. Let's go to this one. So this is one of our newer ones. So this is a facilities related success story where we tell the story of how we worked with the National Guard to create a facility for their unit. And we talked about the opportunity, the approach, we have a pull quote. And at the end, we give them an opportunity for whoever's reading this to say, this sounds interesting. How can they also help me? We plan on having a lot of these stories. Right now we have 3, but we do plan on having more of these and for them to be a new content piece that we do on a regular basis. And you can come here and you can search through based on topic. And you can see we have 3 right now. We have a lot in the works, a lot of drafts that people have sent. We have a web advisory board who's been working with us through this whole project, and they've sent us quite a few really great ideas, and we just haven't gotten to writing them all, but we are going to be launching with these 3 in final form. So again, landing pages, we've got them for all 5 of these sections. They're very consistent with each other. They're simple. We've kept them as simple as possible. I'm going to take you to a new committees page type. And some of these are still being built out too. John, did we decide on Wax? Is that the one we decided on? Okay.
Yes.
So Wax is one that is almost completely, do we call it Wax? Do they call it Wax? Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure. So this is an example of a component page type. So really on the back end, we have specific fields that we have to fill out. And some page types inform other page types. And this is an example of that. So this page, if I go to this page, the content that's on that page is informing what's on this page. And that's what makes our site dynamic in a way our current site is not. Our current site is just basic pages. You open up an HTML and you can do whatever you want on it. And then John fixes it, right? So within reason, you can do whatever you want on it. But in our new site, that's not the case. It's very much dictated by the field and how that field is supposed to show up on the site. So it's much more stringent. It's much more best practice as well for website content. That's one of the things that we're excited about. It also allows us to put content in one place and it can show up in many different places without you actually have to manually going and changing it everywhere. And that is an enhancement that we will continue to do more of in phase 2. We started with some of our more popular pages that we felt we needed more of that constriction of our content, if that's a word, in phase 1, and committee pages and meetings and news stories, and some of those more common pages were at the top of our list. So you can see an example of this here. And then if you click on, I know what's going to happen when I click on this. Let's find out. This is a good one to click on. Okay, good. So then you've got an actual meeting page. And you can see the breadcrumbs here. It's under events, and you've got your documents, and they're formatted a very specific way. And there's probably more content that you can probably add to this that we just didn't have that would show up in a specific order. Any questions or comments or anything I'm forgetting on this one, John, that you want to point out?
Think of it as a puzzle that keeps rearranging its pieces. As Niket said, you can put a meeting content type in here that can be used on several different pages throughout the website, and you only have to change it in one spot and it'll automatically update all those other spots for you. So the dynamic capabilities of Drupal 9 versus Drupal 7 are going to help us do something once, but be able to reuse those content pieces on other pages to, again, enhance the user's experience when they're visiting the site.
Yep, very good. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything, with you all having the link yourselves, I'm hoping that you take the opportunity to just poke around and see what's leading to where, and find the pages that your program is responsible for, and poking around. But you are going to notice, because we did have to lift and shift, you're going to notice things like this page here, where this doesn't really meet the look and feel that we're going for long term. This is content that we will, when we're stabilizing in December, and for a couple months actually, we will be cleaning up some of these pages so that, for instance, they're not in 2-column format, and they're more accessible than they are right now. So that's why I was saying that it's not perfect. Our accessibility isn't perfect. We have a lot of content that's in tables, and we're going to be removing from tables to make more accessible and into our new look and feel that we've got here. Yeah. So the other thing to keep in mind with the new site is redirects. So if they type in a current URL, it will redirect to the new page. We do expect that there will be instances where that just doesn't work the way it's supposed to. So it's just a matter of being able to report that. There's a contact us. I see your hand, John. There's a contact us form that we expect to get lots of good use right away, where people can go ahead and tell us what's going on, external customers. For you all, I will give you the form that you can use to report any issues and the email address that you can contact us at. Yes, John?
So the one caveat to what Niket just said, if you have a hard-coded link that is embedded in a document, i.e. you created a PDF and you had it linking to other documents that were stored on the web server, those will not work when we launch the new site. So we are expecting to get some reports of some broken links, and we'll have to fix some documents over time, but those will not redirect. So again, best practice trying to move forward, try not to link or hard code a link in a document to another document, because that can cause problems down the line.
Yeah, it's generally not a best practice to do that anyway. So it's just a habit that we'll have to will have to change. And that's where the beauty of Dave as a content strategist comes in. We've not had a content strategist before, and so we've got Dave who's bringing in actual content strategy principles and best practices. Content strategy is, it's been around for about 15 years. We were just talking about this, Dave. It's really only over the last 5 to 8 years really become this phenomenal discipline. So it wasn't even really something that we employed, 10 years ago. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I was just learning content strategy when it started becoming a thing in 2010. So we're going to be able to apply that to this website, which is really exciting. A lot of best practices. We're also going to have a web council. We have a separate web request process for our folks who need to get content updated on the website. We're separating it from the communications requests so that we can make sure we're responding in a rapid manner. So there's a lot of really great governance coming that we've not had in the past, because it was one mighty person's one mighty person, John, but one person managing the back end, right. And so we are effectively doubling that team with Dave. And then we've got embedded communications has been growing, and we have embedded communicators in certain areas. So for instance, we have a couple embedded communicators in CMP, we have one in FPS, we have one in WSD. And so we have a lot more hands to help us manage and maintain this website and work directly with you, our subject matter experts on the site. Is there anything else I should show here that anybody else is? Chat, anything people want to see, or any questions they might have? I'm just now seeing comments. I'm sorry I wasn't able to see them at the same time, but I really appreciate that see some positive comments. I'll say we've received a lot of positive comments from y'all, and I think we were pleasantly surprised at how many initial positive responses. We weren't really exactly sure. You just never really know what you're going to hear from your employees. And we wanted it to be positive, and we have been pleasantly surprised by how much so it has been. Yeah, so, and Masosi's right. It hasn't been easy. It's a labor of love though. And I think y'all are doing that kind of work yourself in your day to day. And for us, it is a labor of love, and we really enjoy it. And we really enjoy working with you all to make sure that we are meeting your customers' needs. So that's always our number one goal. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can get in touch with us after
Niket,
you take a look at all of this. Yeah, go ahead.
Scott's got a question.
Okay, and I wanted to show the one video. Dave really wants me to show the one video. So that was like one of the most important videos. So yes, Scott.
Yes, just a question. I apologize if you already covered this.
No,
When
okay.
under contact us, when someone sends a message and they fill out on, right. Yes, who receives those messages?
So the long term is not going to be the answer I'm going to give you, but for the short term, it's going to be the web services team, and we're going to get it to the people that we need to get it to. Long term, we have grand ambitions for how those would, there will be a way for it to get automatically sent to program areas.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for that. Thank
you. We're working with our customer experience director, which is Carrie Bustetter, on that. And that is, like a lot of things, phase 2 enhancement that we'll be working on once we get through the stabilization of this site.
Beautiful. You're all on point. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, I am going to show.
I can just mention one little thing before you press play here.
Okay.
This is the thing that I am most excited to show you, because you may have some weird feelings about where your content is, or maybe that it looks a little bit differently, or you may still be building confidence in the research and work that we've done at this point, and that is all okay. What I want to share with you as we show you this video is I want you to think about the opportunities that this new website is going to give you. And 2 very specific points on this. The very last person that you will hear from on this video is the one that we have the biggest opportunity as an agency to reach out to. It's people who don't come here regularly and who don't really know much about DES as an agency. And the last person on this little section of clips thought that we were the state IT group. Okay, so she did not know anything about us as an agency. And so I just want you to keep in the back of your head, these are some of the first impressions that we will be giving people with the new website as it rolls out. Roll it, Niket.
Yeah, and this one does go a little bit long, so if you need to go, we do understand. And again, this recording is going to be posted, and I'm going to finish this with one more slide, and then we'll wrap it up. All right.
What these people say is what I am most excited about.
Okay.
And what are your impressions of this page that you're on right here?
I think I like it because it's bigger, it's easier to read. I like the way that they have it broke down for new customers. You know, you have the video, current customers. I don't know. I think I like the way that they have this set up and giving all the different little scenarios, different things that you can look at on what you're going to do. And then, and the related, yeah, that's kind of nice.
What are you thinking about this page? Is there something that you're not?
Well, there's a lot more. It's more user friendly. I mean, you can answer, instead of bothering the people at DES, you can probably answer a lot of the questions just by clicking on these tabs.
Great. And what are your impressions of this page? Since you said it's something you haven't done before, what do you think about this?
This one's idiot proof. I mean, if I could find it, we're good. So 5.
Great. Glad to hear it. Any other thoughts about the information here? I mean, like what's helpful that's here, what's not so helpful?
Well, if this is all current, it's all helpful. I mean, because like I say, I just go to our we talk to our commissary all the time. And then they help dispose of, because we have to check in everything that comes onto campus. And anything that goes out, they have to be aware of it. So we go straight to them and they work things out. So we're just really lucky here, I guess. Got good people. Anywho, so I'd turn anybody onto this page.
Great.
And think that it's really helpful. Frequently asked questions. Yeah, I like it.
Right. No, it's
that was helpful.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about that? What was
that was obvious.
Okay.
It was simple. The titles of things. I mean, I had to search for it in the beginning, but certainly that was good.
Great.
Right there, and there's capital cancer. It's right there. See how simple? Oh, see, that's how you should have everything. That easy. So there's a tour. You can schedule an event right there. Right there, see? You guys got everything right in order. Could have been bold. There you go. But make that over here like that. Make this capital, put this over here like that, and bam, you're ready to go. But this here is more, you're explaining more. Capital campus, getting to the campus improvement projects, things to see on the Capitol, and then the tours, the event, the parking, become a volunteer. That's so this is everything we need right here. You don't need to go no further if you're just trying to deal with the campus, Capitol campus. And that's good work. Yeah, right. I like that.
Is there anything that could have made this better or more clear for you?
Not really. You identified that I was looking for public works opportunities, and I took that literally, looking for public works, and then abstracted it a bit to a couple of the other kinds of public works that seem to be in the same neighborhood.
Great. And then taking a look at this page as a whole, what are your impressions of this, especially as someone who would maybe come in here and look for opportunities?
My right there at the top or near the top is, you may be new here. Let's get you registered. That's a useful thing. That feels inclusive. If you're an old hand, you might be back down in the area that is your jam. And again, if you're new, you might want to get signed up to become an insider. And if you're having trouble, contact one of these people and tell them what's not working, or ask them why it's not working, or get straightened out on how to use what does work, but you don't know how.
Sure. Already it looks cleaner. I mean, how nice to be able to go and your major functions are right here. I do this or I do this. How am I interacting? And then I can find out more about you here. That's great. And your mission, boom, strengthening the business of government in Washington State. How cool is that?
All right, great. Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your experience today?
Thank you for letting me have a sneak preview for this website. That's really, really cool. And I think the folks at DES that put this together, and you know, usually takes an army to do something like this. So you have a really good army. They did a really, really good job.
Appreciate that. I'll pass it along too.
Please do.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the
One of the people that'll be using it liked it. Okay.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share about your experience on the website today?
I think it's nice you're doing it because our school district website is awful. I just, as an example, like if I'm trying to find a bus schedule, I mean, the most intuitive things that are like, duh, people need to know this, parents need to know this. And I go on there and I cannot find it. Like the things are not intuitive. I mean, I would go here to find this. No, it's not there. You know, so I always end up like trying to search. And it's a pain. And it's like, why do you even have a website? So I think it's great that you are testing this and real people can try to go find like, oh, this is where my brain would go looking for this. And then, oh yeah, it's there or something. So I wish our school district would do this type of thing too, for their website. So yeah. And I learned more about the department and what they do. So yeah, it was enlightening and seems like it'll make life easier for a variety of the things people try to do, you know, with the state or contracting or, you know, and it seems like a pretty kind of wide range of things DES does. So kudos to you guys for kind of corralling that into a website. That must not have been an easy job, but I think you did a good job.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying all of Dave's. Really excited. And gestures. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, so this is really great stuff. And the gentleman in particular, you know, we're not sharing this like, oh, great job. This is not why we're sharing some of these things. We're sharing these things because the joy that you see in customers' faces and in the words that they use, how excited they are that you are creating the site with them in mind. It goes a long way, and they really appreciate it. So just a quick note, I know that we're running long, but just a quick note here is that after launch, we have stabilization. We will be notifying customers, communications will be notifying customers. You do not need to notify your customers. So if you want to notify your customers in some way, please work with us first. We do not want to we don't want you to preemptively send some alert or notification to them that we have not vetted, because the timing for that is really important. We don't necessarily announce the day that we've launched that we have a new site. There is some strategizing for when you actually want to announce that there is a new site that has been launched. And so please work with us if there's something that you want to be sending to your customers. Know that customers will react to the change, and give them a little bit of time to settle and to adapt to the change. Some are going to have very positive reactions. Some might have negative reactions. That's perfectly normal. There is a contact us form for them to be able to share any of their feedback. Please do send them to that form if they want to share feedback. That is a great place for them to do that. And then just know that there's going to be ongoing improvement. I think we've made that made that pretty clear throughout this presentation. This email address is actually this. And so this is how you can contact Dave, me, John directly. This is our inbox. Dave is going to be working on governance that will pick up in December, where we're going to be putting together a web council, and we'll be getting starting to talk about stabilizing Drupal and how soon we're going to be getting Drupal administrators back into the system, because it's not going to be right away, because we've got a lot of back end work still to do before we can allow that. So we've got a des.wa.gov web request form for changes. So I wanted to also point you to more information. If you'd like more information, we have some links. These are all on inside DES. And that is all I have for you. And I really do appreciate people who were willing to stay a little bit late. Sorry we weren't able to get her done on time. We had a lot to cover. So please feel free to contact us and ask us anything, any questions that you have or any concerns that you have. Please, you know where to find us. So thank you, everybody. I can stick around for a minute if anybody's got any questions, by the way. Happy to stick around, but I am going to stop the recording.